welcome to another episode on our channel. These are Hallmark Grogu, the child figures. Grogu. They came, okay, we won't stop this. We will just keep going. Okay, so they came with a
hole.
They came with a
little brass eyelet
screwed in. Eye hook in it and a ribbon so you could put it in a tree because they were Christmas ornaments. I just took the eye hook out of each one of these, filled up the hole, and painted it to match. So you really can't tell, you know, the eyelet came in here. I painted it up with a little gray, filled the hole up and so forth. You can't tell, but these are 1/6 scale in size.
I don't think they were intentionally made to be 1/6 scale. It just
I think they just kind of messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Or that's what they were aiming for, and it just so happened that the 1/6 scale community caught on to this because I read about it somewhere.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I went like, I got to get me some of these childs. You know, these childs. And I'm glad I did. I mean, they're cute. Are there tons of cute ones out there? There are. And, you know, they're still, you know, I mean, they're adorable from my perspective. So we basically got a model from CG Trader.
Yep.
Which was a Grogu. And we wanted to show you what we did with that model.
In terms of adding supports.
In terms of adding supports automatically, right? Not.
Yeah. Well,
you didn't fix this one, right?
No. Well, I added one.
Yeah, one
because
support.
I had to do it because I didn't want
to fail.
I didn't want the ear to fail.
Okay.
But I had one and only one to the supports, to the pre-supported version of the model. It was a free model.
Yeah, a free model on CG Trader. I mean, you know, what have you got to lose, really? And he printed the pieces out because it comes in pieces. Whoops. So it comes in pieces, and you'd have to actually make sure that pieces stay in place because they're very loose right now. So we'll see what happens.
How many pieces are there? 1, 2. I didn't count after I printed them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
A dozen pieces.
And this is, again, unaltered in terms of the slicing structural supports, except for one support that you put in.
To the corner of his ear.
To the corner
tip of his ear.
Okay. So
I had to do it. It could not do it.
Otherwise, it might have failed. And you wouldn't have gotten the cuteness that we have, even though it's unpainted. Okay. So here, we're going to try to put it together. It's loose, so it's not, it may fall apart.
And it's unsanded.
But you did break the supports off, right?
I spent an hour
breaking
or
the
more
supports
on this thing. Mm-hmm. It was especially the piece. I think it's the piece that you're holding now. What do you got?
So this is the stand.
Yeah. So no, that's not the piece that gave me fits.
Is it the baby carriage or the what do you call it? Pram?
Yeah, the hovering pram.
Hovering pram. That's the one that.
This is the ugly one. I don't know if you can see that or not.
It's rough on the bottom. Yeah. So he took off a lot of structural supports that were embedded
on the sides
deeply into
the hole. Oops. Yeah. Well, I can see why you get confused doing this. Into the hole here. It was just a hot mess.
He laughs at me when I'm pointing in the wrong direction.
I thought it'd be a good neuropsych test.
It is hard to do.
But there are so many supports. These were added automatically, I can tell. There are so many supports here that it was basically almost like a solid piece. They could have gotten away with...
You could have taken a saw and taken them off.
Yeah, but you still have to...
Smooth it out a bit.
Smooth it out a lot.
And it's definitely not smooth right now.
No.
There are bulges all over the place. So that's what I call the baby carriage.
There are countless supports there, and the author or the artist could have gotten away with, I don't know, 15 supports.
So basically reduced it by 75%, 80%, 90%.
95%.
And that's half the battle, is to take the supports off, do any sanding that needs to be sanded.
Yeah, there's post-processing involved.
So it definitely isn't not smooth here, but this is underneath everything, so you won't see it. Here is two pieces that are actually the stand. So we can put those two pieces together and kind of put it maybe in the middle.
Yeah, and these two as well, again, they were on the bottom, which is good. But see, just like, it looks like alligator skin.
You may not be able to see it, but it does. It's raised.
Yeah,
it's raised dots, basically.
Very rough texture, and it was just unnecessary.
So this would, I think, face this way, all right, or close to that. This is the bottom of the, what I call the baby carriage. And let's see how that should go on. All right, I think that would work.
Is that working?
I don't know.
Or is it the other way?
I don't know. Maybe it's the other way. But child should go here.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Let me see if I can press it in.
It's not going to happen. That's another thing. The supports actually interfered.
Very loose.
The supports were inside of the joints, so the joint that connects the two are no longer together.
So, and you can't get a tight fit. So you can see, like, there's, you see where the break is. It's not producing quite the tight fit that you would like. On the sides, you can see it a little more in pronounced ways.
Yeah, it shouldn't do that.
It should be tight, but whatever was done with the support system didn't allow it to become tight. Here, these two pieces come together. You can see that crack in there. But anyway,
it was free.
It's not as bad as you would think it to be.
If I didn't know how to do supports of my own, and I had to rely on the supports that came with it, I would have returned it.
Okay, all right.
Assuming that I paid for it, which I didn't.
It falls apart.
It's free.
I wish I had. So it's not the perfect model with the slicing.
Try putting them together, those two together.
I think these first, go together.
Yep, and now put it in.
Now let's see if we can get it in, if I can hold it together.
Yeah. Normally you would use super glue on this. We use Loctite professional liquid super glue.
Okay, there you go. So that's together.
And if you really want super glue to stick together, very, very mild misting of water on the two surfaces. That's the reason that your fingers immediately... Moisture
is what sticks it together.
Will enhance sticking it together.
I did not know that.
That's the reason your fingers stick together rather than the object sticking together.
Well, that's not right. That's definitely not right. Okay. So now I have to figure out how this goes in here. Okay. Child. It's either that way or this. I think it's
that way. All right. In fact, I know it's that way.
So there's the body for
that's the torso.
The child. And now it'll become a little more visible. There's the little cute baby head. Oh my gosh. Anyway. All right. Then it has...
Oh, one of the hands was... It was one of the hands that held the ball.
This is the arm and hand.
Okay, yeah. Whichever one held the ball.
It holds the...
Is messed up. The fingers did not print properly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah. So there's one arm with,
together.
And you probably can't see it, but it has a little ball in its hand. We'll get some close-ups of it so you can see it. And here's the other arm, which is supposed to be up in the air. Okay.
There you go.
So here, let's see if we can get it on here.
Now that arm, actually, the one that's up in the air, actually turned out quite well. You can see the little claw of his fingernail.
Oh my gosh. Look at how cute that is. Oh.
Remember, these things print at about 4 to 5 microns, which is just stupid small.
You get right in the center. All right. And then the word child goes on to this opening, and whether, now it's starting to fall apart. Whether it'll stay or not, that's
We don't
another,
know. Maybe
that's
we can
another issue.
super glue it off camera.
I don't
or
want to
not.
super glue it if I can help it. And here's the little butterfly. It's supposed to be holding in his hand.
Oh, that one has to be glued. There's no support for that.
Got it. Look at that.
In the model, it's actually on his extended finger.
Okay, let me just turn it around so the bigger side is facing out.
Probably a good idea. For them, this is enough.
Perfect though. All right, you see it? Anyway, I think now this is not. You hand me the carriage and the other one, so you can tell it's smaller than this one.
Yeah, I did nothing to it in terms of scale.
It's smaller than this one.
So I think I need, if I remember right, I should have looked, but I think I need to increase scale 150%.
Okay, so it definitely has to get bigger. Yeah. Or if you like really tiny.
Or if you like it super tiny.
You like it smaller, you know? So with these things, you can size it any way you see fit. Correct?
Yeah, even in Chitubox, you can scale it. Mm-hmm. And it'll do so.
Okay.
It's not required, but a real handy tool that I have is a fairly inexpensive digital calipers.
Okay, so you can measure it.
Yeah, exactly.
This head, compare it to that head.
And then make the adjustment accordingly.
Okay, so this is the automatic rendering of structural supports
that came with it.
Minus one support that he put to this year, I'm going to say.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
I could not do it.
But if you were to clean this up, you get rid of 95% of the supports.
Especially on that one.
On what one?
I'm sorry, the one that was just like super texturized.
Oh,
at the beginning,
underneath.
Yeah, underneath
the baby carriage.
Yeah, I know it's not obvious or not visible, and that's actually a good thing. When you support your models, you always go for tilt your model so that the supports adhere to the least visible part of your model.
Okay.
As much as humanly possible.
So, how many supports do you estimate he put or she
on the bottom of that thing?
Because I'm assuming it could have been anybody.
100?
100 supports, and you could get away with 10.
15 maybe?
15?
Yep. It depends. I just have to go through and look.
Okay. We will put him to the challenge of doing it with 10, 15 supports.
I got one cooking right now, right?
With 15 supports?
I have 0 supports.
You have what?
I printed. Well, it's not quite 0. The outer part is supported. I'm printing it flat.
With what? Oh, my lion.
Yeah. This one?
We won.
This one I printed flat on the plate.
Okay.
It didn't have any space with 100 of supports. This is the plate, obviously. The model.
So you would do it flat.
I did it flat.
Okay.
So we shall see. It's either going to work well, or I'm going to have one heck of a mess. Oh, by the way, $2.
$2. $2. And not much paint is going to be used on this thing if we use it, but it's not a tight fit. Let's just put it that way. And there are gaps that you can see in it.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. It didn't. The supports weren't along the edge properly, so the edges didn't print. And the edges, if it's not printed, you're going to have a gap.
And that's what I see. I see on the side over here.
And it doesn't help that the mortise and tenon type of joint doesn't fit well.
I see a gap
because inside the mortise there is rough. And doesn't allow the tenon in. I'd have to go through and clean that up.
Okay.
Probably a Dremel tool.
So there's a gap there. If you can see it.
Lots of gaps.
There's a gap here. If you can see it, there it is. There's a gap in here. If you can see it. And on this side, there's a gap that's almost hidden by the word child.
Yeah.
And of course, here's a gap.
There is a technique.
Lots of gaps.
There is a technique you can use to fill the gaps. It's a little dicey, but you can do it.
Well, I imagine some JB Weld would work.
Yeah. I was thinking more along the lines of resin on the end of a Q-tip.
Now I have Magic Sculpt. So
that would work.
probably
That would be a lot cleaner.
work. And it takes a day to set up, so you have plenty of time to work with it. So
you have the patience to use a product that takes a full 24 hours to set up?
I do not. But if I have to.
Maybe that's the reason I've never seen you use it before.
I have used it a couple of
times. I had one other complaint. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's part of the model, but can you see those lines, striations?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It shouldn't be there.
It should be smooth. Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do is actually zoom in on this so you can get a better feel for how it came out with the automatic function of slicing it and putting structural supports into it.
And that function was provided by the artist.
It wasn't provided. Oh, that wasn't provided by Chitubox.
He used Chitubox
to do it.
And included the Chitubox file to do it.
Trusted that it would work.
He just hit automatic and saved it, and that was that.
Well,
don't do that.
It does need work to get it to look a bit better.
Yep.
But we will pause now and we'll get a tighter close-up of this. So here's a nice close-up of Grogu, the child. And you can see the butterfly in his hand and the ball in his other hand. It's not smooth. There were supports around this that were not clean touches. And maybe that's a better way to say it. They weren't clean touches, dead, pointed touches. Basically, not only was the tip touching the model, but the side of the structural support was touching the model. So when you broke it off, you're left with larger imperfections, right? And here you can see along the baby carriage or the hovering pram, you can see the raised bumps. And that's what you don't want to have in a model that you're printing. You want it to be smooth, right? So this is cute. This is a wonderful model. Like I said, whoever created it did a great job offering it free. That was priceless. But using Chitubox is nice, but according to my husband, you don't really need 100 structural supports on this thing. 15 could get you by just fine. And it'd be less problems in terms of raised bumps. And mind you, if you do have these things, you're going to have to sand it down. And he has noted it'll take 400 grit sandpaper to basically grind this stuff off. And it's going to take you some time to do it. So that's not an effective use of your time. Plus, you notice the wide cavernous cracks. That's a reflection of the structural support damage. There's another crack. My voice is cracking too. Another crack. And I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can get an angle. But even the back of the covering pram is not smooth. It's like, I guess I can compare it to a tree. When you cut a tree down and you got those rings on the tree, you can see the lines going across this smooth surface, which shouldn't be happening. And there you have another crack. You can read the child. That's pretty good. That's nice. And you can tell that this is the child. That's definitely nice. But it is not as smooth as it should be. So we're going to try it again with fewer structural supports and show you the outcome to that process and compared this original one to the new one with fewer supports. So you can get a feel for what you can do in terms of saving yourself time, energy, because that's money, right? All right, so we'll take a break now. So we're back, and you had mentioned something about creating less time with prints by doing something very simple. What was that?
Oh, and the more vertical a print, like this one, I printed this one flat on the plate, and it was a vertical print. I don't know how many, 2 or 3, I don't know how many thousand layers there are. Remember, each layer is about 5 microns, and each layer for this resin takes 4 seconds. So this took a while. But if I had printed it at an angle, say 15 or even 45 degrees, it would have taken less time.
Because it's shorter.
Shorter,
fewer layers.
But this whole thing would have been covered with supports.
No, I'm focused on this because it came apart. Okay, so but the supports then would be a bear in terms of breaking them and sanding them and all that stuff.
Exactly. I didn't want to leave pockmarks on this thing. I'd never printed anything this large before.
So how long did that take?
Don't remember. I would guess at least 10 hours.
And how much time do you think you would have saved in terms of time if it was at an angle and was shorter as a result? Well,
somebody's going to call me out on this. This is just a guesstimate. I'm guessing if I put it at 45 degrees like that, maybe 3 hours.
Okay. But you would have more supports to smooth out.
Yeah, right? I would have to. You always want to put the supports wherever it is that it is least viewable.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to put supports here because you're looking at this.
But I'm amazed as to how smooth this thing is. Can you see was that because you sanded it well?
No, or I didn't touch it.
Because it came out this way.
Yeah. So
that actually came out smoother.
Yep. That's another advantage to doing more vertical
he's not only elegant, he's smooth, and he's strong and full of substance, right?
So yeah, pros and cons, you got to figure it out for yourself what works best for you. This is just what works best for me. But got to do what makes sense to you. If I did tilt this one, I would tilt it so that it was, this is the plate. That'd be a bear though, because this mane is a monster.
It is. It's full of curly hair, but strong.
That's a very strong, very curly complex hair.
And he needs a blue cape and all that stuff. But we'll get him fixed eventually.
Don't start out printing on something like that. Start simple.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the tail is very flexible. So this is, he was talking about tough resin and hard resin. This is tough.
Yep.
So it's fairly flexible, at least in some places.
Yeah.
Obviously
you could drop that on the floor.
Doesn't flex, but
wouldn't have heartburn.
The tail does,
So even though I printed it up flat, you can tell that it had supports
on the tail.
Right. That little section of tail right there.
Okay.
Right there. That was it.
It's my lion. Okay. All right. So yeah.
I bet you didn't share your toys growing up, did you? I knew the answer to that question before I asked.
The thing is, I like different toys than my sister did.
That's true.
So why should I share my toys? Anyway.
Moving on.
Anyway, here's one last look at our figure of focus. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please have a great day.